Good morning and welcome to the regular Board of County Commissioners meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 31st. We do begin each of our meetings with an invocation. And this morning we have Lori Stansberry from Charis Bible College who will lead us in the invocation. We invite you to stand and join us.
Thank you. Oh, Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you. We thank you for this great nation that you helped create, for this state, for this county. Lord, we just thank you for wisdom and guidance in these proceedings today, and that you just provide all that we need in each and every day in our lives, in our finances, in governing this county. Lord, we thank you, Lord, for every opportunity that you have given us. And we just praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, and we have Bobby Noel with us today, also from Charis Bible College, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3.
Item number 3 is staff emergency items, and I'm unaware of any staff emergency items today.
Item 4.
Item number 4 is changes, postponements, and notice of the next meeting. I'm unaware of any changes or postponements to today's agenda, and the next meeting will be Tuesday, April 7th at 9:00 a.m.
Item 5.
Item number 5 is the consent calendar, including items 5A through 5R4.
Okay, is there anyone here today who wishes to speak on an item on the consent calendar? Okay, seeing none, I will bring it up here to the dais for any questions, comments, or motion from commissioners.
I would move
ahead.
approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. One final opportunity for any comments. Seeing none, I'll call the roll, beginning with Commissioner Wysong.
Aye.
Vice Chair Nelson.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 4-0. Okay, item 6.
Item number 6 is the proclamation recognizing National County Government Month. Lauren Nelson, Vice Chair, Board of County Commissioners.
Okay, I move approval of the proclamation recognizing National County Government Month. Whereas El Paso County, Colorado's most populous county with over 750,000 residents, is one of 3,069 counties across the nation serving more than 300 million Americans by fulfilling a vast array of responsibilities and delivering services that touch nearly every aspect of our lives. And whereas each year El Paso County approaches the county budget with a focus on conservative fiscal stewardship, prioritizing infrastructure, public safety, and other critical services, while aiming to keep taxes low and adhering to the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, TABOR, despite inflationary pressures. And whereas the El Paso County Board of County Commissioners, in collaboration with multiple community partners and county offices, including the Sheriff, District Attorney, Coroner, Emergency Management, Public Health, Assessor, Surveyor, Treasurer, Economic Development, Workforce Development, and Clerk and Recorder, ensures public safety, administers justice, protects property rights, fosters economic vitality, supports schools, safeguards records, and conducts fair elections. And whereas, through a diverse portfolio of departments and programs, El Paso County provides comprehensive services to address the needs of our residents, including our veteran community. And whereas there are more than 100,000 veterans and family members in the Pikes Peak region. In 2025, the El Paso County Veteran Services Office completed 12,223 client appointments. hosted several claims clinics assisting veterans and surviving spouses with filing VA claims, compensation and pension exams, healthcare enrollment, and toxic exposure screenings, and conducted over 100 outreach events, providing guidance and educational briefings, connecting veterans and families to critical resources. And whereas the El Paso County Department of Human Services, DHS, provides vital support to approximately 1 in 4 county residents through its various programs focused on adult safety, child protection, medical assistance, workforce development, and more. And whereas El Paso County's Department of Public Works recognized statewide for its data-driven, innovative road preservation strategies, maintains 2,203 miles of roads and 262 bridges, and continues investing in critical infrastructure through projects such as the Beacon Light Road improvements, replacing the existing gravel roadway with asphalt and improving roadway alignment and drainage, the Mesa Ridge Parkway extension, enhancing regional mobility and connectivity in a rapidly growing area, the Bradley Road widening project, expanding the corridor from 2 lanes to 4 lanes to improve traffic capacity and safety, and the Colorado Center drainage improvements, strengthening drainage capacity and conveyance within the Colorado Center residential area to reduce flooding risks and improve roadway resilience. And whereas we take pride in our role in protecting and enhancing the health, well-being, and safety of El Paso County residents in efficient and cost-effective ways, utilizing taxpayer funds judiciously with the utmost transparency and accountability, which has garnered national recognition, including awards for excellence in financial reporting and sound fiscal management. And whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties, NACO, has encouraged counties across the country to raise awareness of county responsibilities and the role counties play in supporting healthy, safe, and vibrant communities. Now, therefore, the Board of El Paso County Commissioners hereby proclaims April 2026 as National County Government Month in El Paso County and encourages citizens to avail themselves of opportunities to learn more about county programs through open houses, digital engagement, and other activities, and empower themselves with information on resources that El Paso County provides to enhance the quality of life for its citizens. Done this 31st day of March 2026 at Colorado Springs, Colorado, Board of County Commissioners, El Paso County, Chair Carrie Geithner, Vice Chair Lauren Nelson, members Holly Williams, Bill Wysong, and Corey Applegate, attested by Steve Schleicher, County Clerk and Recorder. We need a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, that has been moved and seconded, and we have several speakers, guests here today that we invited to share a bit about county government and the way that we have helped out in various different ways around the county. And so we will begin with Brianne Powers. Good morning.
Good morning. Didn't realize I was first up. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. It's very nice to be here with all of you this morning. My name is Brianne Powers, and I am happy to represent my employer, Caliola Engineering, here this morning. Caliola is a woman-owned small business headquartered right here in Colorado Springs. Caliola Engineering powers our nation's most mission-critical communications. Every day, we deliver operationally relevant solutions and best-in-class engineering services to our customers who are across the globe. Our work is rooted in insight, innovation, integrity, and accountability. But today, I'm here happy to discuss with you our company's experience with the Enterprise Zone program. The Enterprise Zone program has been incredibly valuable for Caliola. The tax credits helped to support our recent office expansion and allowed us to stretch our investment dollars further as we scale and grow. Programs like this make it easier for Caliola and other businesses to grow, hire, and keep building within our community. Programs like the Enterprise Zone create a powerful partnership between local government and businesses. They send a clear message that growth, innovation, and job creation are priorities, and that companies who are willing to invest locally will be supported in doing so. We're grateful for the role that the county has played in administering this program. I gotta give a quick shout out to Sarah Lobato and the El Paso County Economic Development Team. We have received excellent support from them, which made the entire process seamless. The impact of this program is real, and we're proud to be a part of a business community that continues to grow and thrive because of it. Thanks again for the opportunity to share our experience, and we look forward to the future and continuing to contribute to the county's success. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here this morning and sharing your experience. Next, we have Mr. Bob McLaughlin from Mount Carmel Veteran Center.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, honored to be here to represent what I think is a fantastic public-private partnership. Last week, I had an opportunity to speak at the Honoring Our Veterans inaugural event, and the topic was partnerships, public and private. I want to start by thanking all of you for the great partnership we have with your veteran service officers. You have been with us from the very beginning. This year, we celebrate 10 years of services working alongside your team to serve our veterans. Today, I want to focus on the Community Development Block Grant. When we talk about veterans homelessness, we often fall into the trap of thinking it's about a roof and that's all that's missing. The reality about homelessness is it's usually the final symptom of a much larger breakdown in support. In El Paso County, where veterans make up 10% of our unhoused population, we know the need for a model that addresses the root causes, not just the immediate crisis. It's really about wraparound services that are essential. Through the CDBG grant, Mount Carmel has implemented a wraparound model. It isn't just a buzzword. It's the mechanical shift of how we serve. Case management. Every veteran is paired with a case manager to navigate complex issues to include VA benefits and resources. The annual Veteran Homeless Stand Down, which Mount Carmel has been leading for the last 4 years, partners over 50 partner organizations where we touch the lives of 110 homeless veterans. That's normally October 20th. Put it on your calendar this year. But the collaboration has started already, and that's important about what we're doing in the community and how your grant helps us. As part of the Homeless Stand Down, we implement the Transitional Housing Initiative, which puts homeless veterans under a roof for 30 days. And the second pillar of that is education and employment, where we take them from homelessness to self-sufficiency. We use the CDBG funds to bridge the gap between unhoused and moving to housing with career opportunities and financial support opportunities. The results of this is stability that sticks and the impact of the partnership that's seen in the numbers. For example, in our THI cohort, we have seen an 88% retention, meaning almost 9 out of 10 who enter the program stay housed and self-sufficient. The THI is a separate program that's supported by the CDBG grant. We're very proud of this. We aren't just moving people off the streets for a night. We're providing financial coaching, behavioral health support, vocational training, and the needs to ensure support. In conclusion, CDBG program is the engine that allows us to provide these high-touch services at no cost to the veteran. It proves that we, with combined funding, can do great things for our veterans. Since 2019, with the money that's been provided, we have served over 763 individuals, 341 families, to make sure that they can live holistic lives here in our county. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And next we have Paula Lynn Harris from our very own constituent services here at Centennial Hall.
Close to home. Paula Lynn Harris. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk with you today. In my role as Constituent Services Specialist, I serve as a point person along with my wonderful colleagues, some of whom are here, to be that point person to our over 750,000 people across the county. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't enjoy and learn from this program. So I really appreciate in your proclamation that you mentioned digital resources. And I wanted to remind constituents of one particular digital resource that's been, I think, a lifesaver for a lot of constituents in the county, and that's Citizen Connect. And thank you, Nancy, for putting that up on the screen. Certainly hit that URL, and that will connect you to a wide range of resources to help you engage with your county government. It provides a portal. When you click the URL, it gets you to an app where you can get to a portal and submit any citizen service request that you need, whether it's filling a pothole or cleaning a ditch or retrieving an animal who's met its demise on the road, roadkill. Just to give you a snapshot of the utilization of Citizen Connect since its inception in 2018, we have received close to 43,000 service requests, and in 2025 alone, through the beginning part of this year, over 6,500 service requests. With just under 1,400 users in total, we'd frankly like to see greater utilization of the tool. I can tell you from triaging hundreds of emails a day, Citizen Connect is the way to go, because once an email drops down the screen, and you all know how that is, it gets very difficult to follow up on something like that. But with Citizen Connect, accountability is built right into the tool. You have a service request number. You can track what's happening with your request. So that's definitely the way to go. I encourage residents to take advantage of this resource. It's wonderful. It's a no headache, one-stop way to get your issues addressed. And the good piece of this is that any citizen can contact you through the portal. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share about that.
Thank you so much. And I have to say that the real magic behind Citizen Connect is Paula and the great work she does every day to make sure citizens get the answers that they need in a timely manner. Sometimes there are things we have to track down or get answers on, but she does a fantastic job. So thank you, Paula, for sharing that and for all the work that you do. And then last but not least, well, I'm going to ask our interim communications director, Natalie Sosa, to come on up, and she's going to share some of the additional activities and resources that we have available for County Government Month.
Good morning, and thank you, Commissioners. I'm Natalie Sosa, Intern Director of Communications. Along with the proclamation this month, El Paso County, we've launched a website for different resources and initiatives that we are doing in celebration of National County Government Month, as well as tying it to America 250 and Colorado 150 anniversaries. So there's a lot of information on there for students, teachers, residents to go and explore, again, initiatives that we have, as well as some activities. I put on your desk there the activity book that we have available online, as well as in paper copy for students to learn more about their local government. This is also an opportunity as well for any schools, if they would like their class to come participate in Board of County Commissioners meeting by reading the pledge or even taping a video to be played during the BOCC meetings. We welcome them to do that as well and learn more about their government. And then also they can go look at this at www.elpasoco.com. And there's also some other outreach events through economic development as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think I want to make sure everyone knows, if you have kids, grandkids, and you're wondering how do they learn about local government, this is such a great resource, and it's available to download on our website. This is just, it got coloring pages, but also very informative information in it. So really friendly for kids, and just a great opportunity to spend a little bit of time and do something fun and also learn a little bit. So thank you so much to our communications team that's continued to work hard to improve those resources that we have and make those available. And so with that, we come to the end of our invited guests for today, but we will bring it up here for comments from the commissioners. And it looks like Mr. Commissioner Weissong is ready to go.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to thank all those, Brianna and Bob, Paula and Natalie, for just sharing with us. A lot happens that a lot of people just don't know about. And 14 months into this position, the county does some absolutely wonderful and fabulous things that just kind of escapes the normal constituent. And so we always look forward to having the opportunity to express how well the county does. And it's very commendable for all the directors, executive directors, and all the personnel, how hard they work. And they're working for you, so it's much appreciated.
Commissioner Williams.
Okay, I do have a few comments. I love county government. It's my last year serving as a commissioner, and I really enjoy it. In the past couple weeks, I've had the opportunity to hear speeches from candidates running for county offices, and it's interesting because a lot of individuals don't realize that El Paso County does not do fire departments. And so when someone stands up and says, we need to increase our response time, and they're living in the city of Colorado Springs, they're actually talking about city council and AMR and those kind of things. And so the county government, we live in such a beautiful county, first of all. It's interesting that we are the largest county in the state now with almost maybe over 750,000 residents. I was asked last year, to take on a very technical project with the Department of Human Services, which is called the Child Welfare Allocation Committee. And I was supposed to send in an application to our statewide organization, and I was struggling with what to say, and finally I just said, this board gets a representative from the largest county. As the largest populous county, I have been appointed to represent El Paso County on this board. And I could sense it took him about 3 days to call and make sure we were the largest county, because most people don't realize how large we really are, and then got back my notice that I'd been officially appointed to that board. I wanted to say there's a couple of departments I'm really, really happy with. This year, I've just become amazed at the responsibilities of the office, such as the treasurer, the clerk and recorder, the assessor, the district attorney, and the sheriff. There are so many laws and regulations that they are required to carry out and to do accurately, especially the county assessor, because if you're not accurate in your county assessments, the state of Colorado can come in and take over your assessor's office. And so in my 30 years of watching county government in Colorado, yes, there has been corruption in some offices in other counties. And so it's those jobs are so incredibly important to make sure that they are run well and that we have honest, and we do have very honest and individuals of high integrity serving in those offices. I really enjoyed the resolution on roads. We work really hard on our roads. We have the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority, which does provide a lot of our money, but this year I'm getting Beacon Light Road done finally after like 30 years of requesting it. It was first fell on the list in 2004. We're working on Highway 105. We've worked on Bradley Road. We've made some miraculous improvements to Colorado Center. We used to be able to say there were 3 neighborhoods we had real problems with: Glen Eagle, Paintbrush Hills, and Colorado Center. And almost all of them during the past 8 years have been fixed by our wonderful Public Works Department. Someone asked me, I really enjoy this day because we have the citizens here from Karis Bible College, and someone asked me, what my favorite thing I'd done in the past 8 years was. And I would say in the first 4 years, it was getting money to do Research Parkway and Powers Boulevard on Christmas Eve. That was really cool when Congress approved it. But then I stopped and thought, you know, we have 2,700 employees, and this county runs because of our employees. It's, for example, having the Citizen Connect and having Paula there to send out wonderful answers when I'm having a frustrating day and can't think of the appropriate answer to send out. And she sends those answers. We have fantastic employees who respond to many, many issues on a daily basis, potholes. I had a friend come up to me and said, well, I've waited 8 years for you to fix my road. I guess I'll have to work with the next commissioner. So I contacted our Public Works Department, and guess what? She's getting her road gravelled this year because it was on the list already. I just hadn't noticed and called her. So I was able to give her good news, and that wasn't anything for me. We evaluate our roads very strategically, and that's always been very important to me, to not play favorites with what roads needed work, but to have our county, those who are experts in the Public Works Department evaluate those roads. So I'm really happy with all of the employees who work for us. The Office of Emergency Management handled the fire on Highway 115 fantastically a couple weeks ago, and you hear complaints from other counties. This is something where the city and the county worked together. And they worked before I became commissioner, and the first day I was commissioner, they approved this organization. It has worked very well. And I just really enjoy all of the employees who work for us, but mostly, you know, we have fantastic citizens as well. And we appreciate that, or I appreciate that. So this is always a fun month to celebrate. I'm looking forward to doing the activities in the book, and thank you for coming.
Mr. Applegate?
Ditto. What can we say? We're the best. Best county in Colorado. We got the best employees. We got good staff. We got great electeds that try their hardest to serve the people. So when people ask me how I like the new gig, I say it's all I ever wanted and more. And the and more was what was intimidating to me when I first came in was sheer volume, just how big we are and the services we provide and the things we do, and just how many employees that takes and how many people are needed to do those jobs and to carry out those services for our constituents. So
I will make my comments, and then our tradition is to allow the proclamation reader to wrap those comments up. So I'll make mine and then turn it over to Vice Chair Nelson. I too am very proud of the work that we do here, but more importantly than even that is, to me, County Government Month is about helping citizens understand what we are doing for them so that they know how to interact with their government. And also just for the purpose of civic engagement. One of the things that is very surprising to me, but I think we're all starting to realize it, is how little folks understand about how county government works. You know, there's usually some amount of understanding of the federal government in school, maybe a little bit of state, but if you move from state to state, things can be different. But there's not a whole lot around local government. And so a lot of times citizens aren't sure which level of government they need to go to accomplish certain things, or to interact with whoever it is that's in charge of that thing that they don't know who's in charge of, but they just want it fixed, or they just want to be able to figure out who it is that they need to talk to about a problem or a concern that they're having. And so I really see County Government Month as an opportunity for us to help share what we do here, so that hopefully more citizens know what they can count on their county for and the ways that we intend to serve. One of the things that you've heard, but I think is still very surprising to me today, is the breadth of things that county governments actually do. So today we heard from some speakers. You heard things like CDBG, and you probably didn't know what that is if you're not already familiar with what the county does. But the county has federal grants. That's one of those programs that we administer on behalf of the federal government. So the federal government says, this is what we want these dollars to go for. And then local government is charged with volunteer boards to come up with how to best spend those dollars. So there's a lot of important work that goes on behind the scenes that isn't always front and center before we even get to the point where those grant funds are awarded. And so that's part of the breadth. So I've been here for over 5 years. There's still things that I'm learning all the time. There's a constant new program or new law that you're going to have to learn about. And if it's confusing at times for us and feels like a lot of information, I know for citizens it is to understand how to navigate that. And again, that's why I think county government is something I'm passionate about, is helping citizens understand their government. I think a couple other quick things that I want to share, in addition to this awesome activity book. If you can't tell, I really love this activity book. But also, I want to encourage you to go to those online resources. I think I've talked about this every year, but there's also a game. It's a great way for kids or adults to think about all the services. And this is not specific to El Paso County, but it's created by NACO, the National Association of Counties, to help people understand what it might be like to be a commissioner and interact with citizens. So there's a little video game that you can play. It's a lot of fun. You get to decide how to spend money and which requests to answer from citizens. They're not always happy, even in the game. And then you have a chance to figure out whether you get reelected. So I really encourage everyone to go on and check that out. Play it with your kids. It's a fun way to learn about government, and just take the time, because you never know when you might need to contact county government, and it would be helpful to understand a little bit more about what we do here. And with that, I will turn it over to Vice Chair Nelson.
I was born and raised here in El Paso County, and in my 20s, I had a career that, as a food scientist, I got to travel around the country and see different parts of the U.S., and came to realize how fortunate we are to live in El Paso County. It's beautiful, and decided to raise my family here. And now, as a commissioner, I have been in this position since June. And one of the things that I often think about and appreciate is the customer service culture that we have in El Paso County government, from the various elected positions as well, within the departments that the commissioners oversee. And I think that's really important. And I think that's exactly the right attitude that we should have, is that we are here to serve our community. And so I love that that is what has already been built out here, and hope to see continue. It's already been mentioned, but I will repeat the breadth that the commissioners and the departments within El Paso County is astounding, from veterans services, law enforcement, public health, roads, infrastructure, land use considerations, enterprise zones, human services. I mean, I'm not covering all of them, but just to show that, roads and infrastructure is very different than public health, and yet we are providing services in these two very different categories. And so, coming back to the point about having staff that are doing their job well and in their expertise in their fields, and that we rely on them, and we expect them to continue to have that customer service mindset. And I'll just kind of think about, as a government, we are here to serve our community, but we have to do so within the understanding that we're funded, and respecting that our funding comes from hardworking people and taxpayers. And so we want government to be limited, and we want government to have low regulations so businesses can thrive. We want to make sure government respects private property rights, and that we are prioritizing our services to meet the needs of our community with respect to the taxpayers, and that they are the ones providing our funding. And I think I'll just wrap with a reminder about Citizen Connect, that if you have anything that you're needing support on, it's a great place to get directed to if you were to email me, I am not going to be able to answer. I know I won't be able to answer your question about your road specifically, but if you go to Citizen Connect, it will be routed to that department and that they can address your question. So you'll get a faster turnaround time and accurate information. And so that tool is a great way to help you navigate the different departments and getting routed to the right people to get your questions answered. So just highly recommend, if you have anything, to reach out on Citizen Connect. And if you do want to talk to one of the commissioners, you can do so there as well. Thanks so much for being here this morning. And county government is kind of, as it was mentioned, something that maybe a lot of us didn't have a good understanding of before today. So thanks for listening.
Okay, with that, I think we are ready for a vote on this proclamation. We'll begin with Commissioner Weisong.
Aye.
Vice Chair Nelson.
Aye.
Commissioner Applegate.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. We're going to take a brief recess for a photograph. I'll call this meeting back to order. We are on item 7.
Item number 7 is comments by elected officials and commissioner liaison reports.
Okay, do we have any countywide elected officials who would like to speak this morning? I don't see anyone in the room, so we'll begin with Commissioner Weisong.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Got a couple of key items to talk about. First one is last week we had PPACG. It was kind of an off month with spring break. And also had the opportunity through the Fountain Creek Watershed District, went down to Pueblo County and met with the County Commissioner Miles Lucero, who is on the Fountain Creek Watershed District, and just the opportunity to talk with other county commissioners. Had a reception for the Homefront Military Network, which was a really interesting opportunity to meet more folks. Land use, the issue we had last Thursday, or I mean, our meeting we had last Thursday. And we had, and it was mentioned by Bob McLaughlin, that on Friday, the inaugural event for honoring our vets, which was something new and something that a lot of people don't know is on Sunday, we actually had an event out at Memorial Park, which was a Vietnam Veterans Memorial Day. And back in 1973 on March 29th, was basically the last combat troops in Vietnam. And that basically ended that era of the Vietnam War. Some may or may not remember, the Vietnam War is kind of, along with the Korean War, is considered the forgotten war. But in the case of our Vietnam veterans, they're kind of the forgotten veteran group. And this was a real special event. It was proclaimed by President Barack Obama in 2012, and then actually signed into law by President Trump in 2017, establishing March 29th as this day. So 53 years ago, when we celebrated this event on Sunday, it was very unique in the sense that so many people do not know about that this is actually a signed into law event. Remembering that there were over 58,000 service members killed. And a number that I didn't really know, 33,000 of those killed were under 18 or under 18 years of age. 2.7 million served in the Vietnam era. And there was 304,000 that were wounded at some level. And probably most of us remember the fall of Saigon more than anything else, when on April 30th, 1975, that the U.S. Embassy was evacuated along with those members of the South Vietnamese government that were able to be evacuated. So I just wanted to kind of bring it back that we have a special day, which was Sunday, and it just needed to be identified. And I'm just very thankful that I could represent the county at this event. The Gazette published a couple of articles, one on Friday and then another one on Monday, that I think really needs to be referenced. That on Friday that we had the issue with we are currently in a weather condition right now in what is looking to be this summer worse than what happened in 2012, in 2013, which was the Waldo Canyon fire and the Black Forest fire. And so we really need to be aware of what is currently happening. And when it comes to all the issues related to the wildfire mitigation, and then an article that was written Monday, a perfect storm is kind of brewing in the sense that the pine beetle is thriving following a warm, dry winter in Colorado. You add pine beetle kill to the unhealthy forests just due to number of trees per acre, and the fact that we've got a very dry forecasted spring into summer, it could be very ripe for wildfire. So I just want to recognize that we've got to be aware of what's going on. And there's an opinion piece in Monday's paper from the mayor and the fire chief, Colorado Springs, ready, set, go. There's a lot to that, but just make sure that if there is some kind of an issue, that you are prepared to evacuate and just, heed the warnings that our personnel have talked about. And we've mentioned our Office of Emergency Management already. They play an absolute critical part of how the county responds, since it's a joint command between the city and the county. In finalizing, this is a special week, Holy Week. Whether or not you totally agree with the Christian faith, it is important. And I just think that as we move through this week, that we take the time to reflect on our own personal beliefs. And just to finalize, this photo is from Sunday, and the honor bell was also rung, it was also tolled by the Honor Bell Foundation staff as part of the final closing out of the event on Sunday. So it was very unique. So with that, thank you.
Vice Chair Nelson.
Last week at Region 16 Opioid Abatement Council, we were working through our strategic plan. So for those new to this topic, it is a council made up of various electeds in our community and also partnering with Teller County and also electeds as well as law enforcement, people relevant to helping combat the opioid epidemic. And there's funding that over the next 17 or 18 years that is coming down. It's around $70 million through lawsuits that have taken place with pharmaceutical companies for contributing to the opioid epidemic. And so this funding, the intention is to be used to help combat that. And so this council has been functioning for a couple of years now, and we've had some different contractors helping to facilitate the meetings, and just it's been a little bit of a rocky road in getting what we're needing through those contracts. And so recently we went through an RFP and then came to the conclusion that you know what, maybe we need to utilize the resources we have within El Paso County and the various departments of strategic planning, communications through websites and data management and finance that we were already supporting, and as well as legal counsel already supporting. And so last week was sort of our real first getting at the meat of it. And I have to say it went incredibly well. And the conversation around what our mission and our vision should look like for this funding and helping to guide decisions on how we're going to spend it, and reviewing, those in the community who want to come alongside and partner in this work and are requesting not donations, almost sort of like a grant, but requesting funding to support their work through these dollars. And so we review those applications and discern which ones are going to best meet the needs of our community. And it was just an exceptional working meeting last week, I have to say, and I look forward to the conversation continuing. And as we think through, do we want these dollars to last for 18 years, or because most of that money is being front loaded where we're already receiving substantial amounts now, but it'll slow down over time how much is coming in. And so we just need to continue to ask those questions of what do we want this to look like? And something that I kept repeating during the meeting is sustainability. And it's really important to me that we are funding organizations that have long-term plans and that are meeting the needs in the community without being dependent on these dollars. And because I do think it's important that we don't completely rely on government to provide our needs. And these are not tax dollars, but I don't want it to be assumed that when these fundings run out, that we will then just shift to taxpayers supporting this work. I think it should be individuals and their own conviction of wanting to meet these needs, stepping in and helping support the work in that way. And so really great stuff last week, and look forward to the work continuing. And I think that El Paso County and Teller County are going to rise as showing the rest of our state and nation, really, because this is something that's occurring across the nation, that we are being very intentional and strategic and having metrics and things to make sure that we're identifying what success looks like. And then if we're not meeting those metrics, then reconsider how we're spending these dollars. And so just grateful for the opportunity to serve in this way, and it's really important work.
Commissioner Applegate.
Wednesday, I also attended the Homefront Military Network. That appreciation reception was a good event, so big shout out to them. And Saturday, I saw a few of my fellow commissioners. We were at Jeff Crank's assembly for Congress, and that was really good, vote by acclamation. So I think he united at least that form of the party, so it was good. And look forward to the events I got coming up this week. So.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes. So last week, I was able to listen into some of the Colorado Counties Incorporated steering committees on the state legislature bills. As county commissioners, the 64 counties get together and discuss how the bills will specifically affect county government. There are a lot of bills, and the organization is doing a really good job this year of getting through them quickly. I found the discussion on the wildland urban interface especially interesting because the map that they have puts some houses that really shouldn't be in an urban interface into the interface. And there is an effort by some individuals in the state legislature to force many of us to have wildfire-resistant shingles on our house, which are only provided by one company in the state, a company that has a monopoly. And I would say in the 30 years I've lived here, I know that one of our commissioners did experience, Commissioner Weissong was involved in the Waldo Canyon fire, but I assure you my house is much more likely. I think I've replaced 4 roofs. And so I would rather have a class 4 shingle for hail damage than a wildfire shingle, because I don't consider myself as living, on the side of the mountain where I'm in an urban interface. And so I would encourage the legislature to please keep us having the choices as to what we want to put on our house and making those strategic decisions ourselves as homeowners. We don't need government to protect us. I also went to a discussion by a candidate for treasurer, and the Gazette keeps running some articles, or they keep popping up on my news feed about the affordability of Colorado. And the interesting thing I found in watching the Joint Budget Committee at the state legislature is their unwillingness to actually cut any employees that they hired during COVID and the American Rescue Plan Act. They used those one-time monies to hire a lot of full-time employees, and they refused to cut those employees. So this candidate for state treasurer was discussing how the treasurer's office under Dave Young in the past 8 years, Dave Young is a Democrat, has increased by 20 or 25 employees. Just imagine how much we could save in our state budget if at least 15 of those employees were eliminated. And it's very frustrating because they keep complaining. They take money from my favorite thing and all of our favorite things that affect us the most, which is transportation, and trying to force us onto trains and buses. And yet they won't consider, even for an instant, a reduction in workforce. And that's something that El Paso County had to do in 2008 to 2010. Those are hard choices that we elect our leaders to make. We don't elect them to continue trying to have a bloated government and cutting essential services such as our roads. So I've been anxiously watching and waiting to see what the Joint Budget Committee will come up with for our budget, the state budget. They're a little bit behind on it because they have to cut significant amount due to Tabor, and thank heavens for Tabor, or we would be in a lot of trouble. And so I keep waiting to hear what they might propose as a state budget, and hopefully roads will not continue to get hammered, but I suspect that fully will. And so as far as my schedule this week, the key meeting I have, it's my last meeting as vice chair of the Statewide Transportation Advisory Committee. So they'll be electing a new vice chair next month because I will be term limited at the end of the year. So it's easier to elect someone new now to continue to carry on in that role. And then we have Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments board meeting prep on Friday. And then we do have, again, we're waiting to see what the state legislature and the governor comes up with as to how to correct error rates that many of our human services offices have. El Paso County, as always, is doing fantastic. But there are counties that are issuing assistance benefits to illegal immigrants, and we don't have the money in the budget for that. They're not citizens. My daughter-in-law is now a citizen of the United States. She worked hard for 10 years to get there, and I'm very proud that she did. And so when individuals are coming from other nations and I'm having to pay for their benefits, their food assistance benefits or their welfare benefits, that makes me a little upset. So that is what's going on this week for Commissioner Williams. Thank you.
Okay, lots of important stuff being discussed today. I want to just report that I'm going to be participating in a chronic disease work group as one of the liaisons to Board of Health again tomorrow, so looking forward to that. A couple of things that my colleagues touched on a little bit that I also want to add a bit to. Vice Chair Nelson talked a bit about our work at the Opioid Council last week. I echo and concur what a great meeting that was, and we are really getting down to some what is very necessary strategic planning. When a new program like the Opioid Abatement Council comes into being, there's a little bit of building the plane while you're flying it. The state says, here's what you're going to do, and there's not a lot of structure. And you put people together in a room and they say, now give money out. And some people want you to give it out really fast, and some people want to take more time. And so it takes some time to really find a good rhythm. And I'm grateful that we seem to be falling into a really good rhythm, as well as I have to thank our county administrator for being willing to work with and figure out a way to support the Opioid Council. We were previously the fiscal agent, but had an outside facilitator. And quite frankly, that just was not fitting our needs very well. And so that was a huge shift, I believe, in us getting to a more strategic approach. And so we have just had a couple of meetings with our Deputy CFO, Amanda Grant, working as providing that facilitation process and leading us through strategic planning. So a huge shout out to Amanda because it was night and day, and I think the entire council felt that, and we accomplished so much because of her great work. So a huge thank you to Amanda, and a huge thank you to Brett Waters for being willing to support an effort that we originally did not think we could take on. So sometimes stepping up and finding a way to support the effort is really critical, and it's not always an easy decision. But I also wanted to point out, related to the Opioid Council, I saw that the Common Sense Institute released some new information just recently related to opioid death in Colorado specifically, comparing it to the nation and how we're doing. I'm going to bring copies of this to our next Opioid Council meeting because I think it's actually really critical, and it highlights a truth that's very hard. One is we can do a great job with the opioid settlement funds and trying to provide treatment. At the same point, there are some things that we can't control, and that did start to come up last week at our Opioid Council meeting, because what we can measure and what we can determine is only based on what we can also control. And so one of the things that this Common Sense Institute report talks about is that our overdose rates in Colorado are rising faster than the nation. And that is significant. And they ask very important questions about why. And when you dig into the actual reality around why, there are some very important things to learn about Colorado's state laws and how they enable fentanyl to be rampant on our streets, how they fail to intervene and make sure that we can keep citizens safe. And I think that it's critical. Again, the work that we're doing is very important, but it reminds us that we are all interdependent, all these types of governments. When the state government refuses to create policies that actually make positive impact, we're all going to feel that, even down here where we may not agree with those policies. Elections have consequences, and that's the reality that we're dealing with. I do think it's also important that the report spoke specifically about the reduction in fentanyl and other drugs that are coming over our southern border as a result of this federal administration's policies, which is very positive. Probably why you're seeing deaths go down across the nation while Colorado continues to rise. So again, very important work to actually think about how all these policies interact together. And so as we move forward, we'll have to contend with the fact that we're not the decision makers on many of those policies, but maybe we need to step forward a bit more and advocate more loudly as a council and say, we're doing the work, but we need your help, lawmakers. You cannot stick your head in the sand. You have to be willing to put in the work and put the policies in place, not feel-good policies, but policies that actually make a difference for Coloradans. I think the estimate was that if we were declining at the rate of the rest of our nation, 1,600 people would still be alive in Colorado. 1,600 people. Those are our friends and our neighbors, and so I think it's very significant. Along those lines, I think it's also important for us to note a couple of things. I am going to preface this with saying I am fully in support of free speech, but I know there were many No Kings rallies that happened over the weekend. And I found it a bit ironic that this morning the Supreme Court struck down a Colorado law that violates people's free speech. So I hope that we are going to look equally at the state of Colorado, who has absolutely violated the rights of Coloradans when it comes to free speech, while we're talking about these things. So Governor Polis is also not a king. We're grateful for that. We know that we don't have any of those here, but some of the laws that he has signed are absolute violations of our rights. And so I hope that we are going to criticize, we're going to do it not in a partisan way, 'cause it seems like it's a pretty partisan activity, but actually talk about what the rights of citizens are and defend them all, and that includes free speech. So if you haven't seen that yet, that has to do with the conversion therapy ban in the state of Colorado, and that was struck down this morning. 8-1, I'll add. And so finally, I will just say, again, a little bit frustrated to see, especially in the state of Colorado, our media, that we often don't call people out and challenge things that need to be challenged here. And so one of those things is, again, I've seen Governor Polis continue to talk about how expensive things are and try to blame that on our federal administration. And I think it's fair game to have those conversations and criticize whatever we think is increasing costs. But I want to point out that we are the 9th most expensive state in the nation, and that's not from the federal government. That is because of choices of our governor and our state lawmakers who have continued to make it more and more expensive here. Again, we here in El Paso County, we keep taxes very low. But if our state is constantly raising taxes, raising regulations, green energy mandates, all of those things are causing your utilities to go up. And locally, we are required to follow the law. And so those elections have severe consequences, and it is evident to me that what is happening in our state is self-inflicted. We cannot point the fingers elsewhere. I've seen our state is, I think that we're up to $1.5 billion in the hole, primarily from poor judgment and spending one-time dollars on ongoing expenses. And rather than take responsibility and say, we have to make hard decisions just like families have to do around their kitchen tables. Sometimes we want things for our children, our families, but we can't always afford them if we don't have the money in the bank. Instead of making those same sort of hard choices that we all have to make, our state governor has pointed the finger, our state lawmakers have pointed the finger, and they've tried to push the blame off on someone else. So it's really important that we're paying attention to what's going on. I encourage you. Our mainstream media does not do a good job of covering these things. I have seen some decent coverage on the budget issues in particular, but pay attention to the fingers that they're pointing and understanding when you're the 9th most expensive and costs are not rising at the same rates. When you have more deaths and opioid than when you're seeing them go down in the rest of the nation, that says something about the choices that we are making here in Colorado. And we are seeing businesses leave, we're seeing people leave, declining population. We have got to turn around the state of Colorado. This is a beautiful state. It's a state I love. It's a state I chose to live in, chose to stay here after moving here with the military, but we're in trouble if we don't turn something around. And I will get off my soapbox now, and we will move on to item 8.
Item number 8 is community service organization reports, and there are none.
Item 9.
Item number 9 is public comment on items not scheduled on the agenda. And Madam Chair, I'm unaware of anyone signing in to speak.
Okay, is there anyone here who wishes to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? Come on down. And if you are also planning to speak, if you want to come down and sit a little bit closer to the bottom so that we can transition quickly. I'll just need you to state your name for the record, please, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Gabrielle Walker, and the item I would like to address is about the Islamic Society of Colorado Springs in 7610 Mavic Road. I understand this project is being handled, administratively, but that does not remove its impact, and it should not remove the voice of the community. My concern is not about anyone's rights to worship. That is protected, and I respect it. My concern is whether it is being established in our community aligns with the fundamental values of Americans. It's nerve-wracking being up here. Whew. This country is built on principle that all people are created equal, that women and men are equal under law. That is one treated as less based by their gender. As a woman, that matters deeply to me. There are widely known teachings within Islamic texts that describe men as having authority over women, allowing unequal treatment in areas like inheritance, abusing or hitting women, or permanent practices such as multiple wives. Those are not interpretations. Those are from their text, from the Quran, that no Muslim will deny. That is not radical. That is simply just Islam. And I think it is reasonable to acknowledge that those ideas do not align with the standard of equality that we claim to uphold in the United States of America. So my question is not about belief, it is about accountability. If a large-scale religious and community center is being established here, what assurances are being taken that everything within our facility fully aligned with the U.S. law and standard of equality. We expect, especially when it comes to women and girls. What oversight exists to ensure those standards are upheld? And what do we have in place in the community if they are not? Because once this is built, it is permanent. This is not about fear. It is not about being honest. It's just being honest about our differences and values and ensuring our community reflects the principles that the country was built on. We should not be afraid to ask if what is being built aligns and is equally safe for our communities and the rights we all share. This is not discrimination. It is responsibility. I do not want us to be the slow boiling frog that does not see the impact because we are too afraid to speak boldly as a Western society or as a Christian. I'd like to leave my fellow Christians with a scripture. Revelations 12:11 says, "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they did not love their own lives unto death." They value Jesus more than comfort, more than reputation, more than safety, and more than their own lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will move to item 10.
Item number 10 is the called up consent calendar, and there are no items called up today.
Item 11.
Item 11 is the second reading of an ordinance to develop, implement, and enforce the stormwater management program required by the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System Permit. Jack Ladley, Executive Director, Department of Public Works, and Joshua Palmer, County Engineer, Department of Public Works.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Josh Palmer, County Engineer. So we talked about this once, I guess 2 weeks ago now, during the first reading. And the second reading here is to hopefully receive a motion to adopt the ordinance during the second reading. And this is the ordinance to develop, implement, and enforce the stormwater management program required by the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System Permit. Willing to answer any questions that you may have prior to a motion.
Just for our guests in the audience, can you explain what this ordinance does in like 2 sentences or 4?
Sure. The El Paso County is required by the state to implement practices and procedures to prevent and then mitigate any illicit discharge. And as our MS4 permit progresses in our requirements, it's necessary to update an existing ordinance to provide the proper mechanism for us to enforce that permit.
Okay. I've always been assured that most things run downhill. Although Cub Scouts will always tell me, no, water can go uphill as well. So, but I appreciate that. I finally figured out why it's called the MS4 permit, the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System Permit. It's just really important. We've had issues in the past where, probably 25 years ago, where things were discharged into Fountain Creek and ended up in Pueblo, and the city of Colorado Springs was sued. So this is an important thing for us to have on our books because we need to make sure that we have procedures in place for when new developments come in. If we actually do have a wet year, next year maybe, I'm hoping, we need to be prepared for how we send that water downstream so that it doesn't adversely affect the residents of Pueblo County.
Any other comments?
And just so we have it on record, so if I want to build in like City of Colorado Springs and I've acquired whatever stormwater permit I need to there, this program then implements, so I also have to coordinate with the county, correct? In order to do what I want to do?
Generally, yes. So our MS4 permit regulates development and any construction and post-construction requirements within unincorporated El Paso County. However, we do work with other jurisdictions to ensure that their compliance does not negatively affect our compliance as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no additional questions, I think we are ready for a motion.
Okay, there we go. I will move to adopt the ordinance to develop, implement, and enforce the stormwater management program required by the municipal separate storm sewer system permit.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. One last opportunity for any final comments. Seeing none, I will call the roll, beginning with Commissioner Weissong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Nelson,
Aye.
Commissioner Applegate,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Item 12.
Item number 12 is department and committee reports, non-action items, and there are none.
Item 13.
Item 13 is the addendum, and there are no addendums today.
Item 14.
Item 14 is the executive session. 14A, executive session pursuant to CRS 246402 4B and E for the purposes of conferring with legal counsel for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions and determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators with respect to the statutory property acquisition process. Kenneth Hodges, County Attorney, and Lori Seago, Senior County Attorney.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move we go into executive session for the purposes stated on the record.
Second.
Great, moved and seconded. I'll begin by calling the roll with Commissioner Weissong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Nelson,
Aye.
Commissioner Applegate,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. We are in executive session.